I'm Joshua Mason, and I am a Newport Historical Society living historian. This style of wig is really common for a fashionable young man in the 1770s. Although extremely simple with its two curls and not quite finished in the back, just missing a silk bag, this high pomp really sets it apart, almost a style out of a macaroni. This style here is known as the bob wig. What sets it apart are these multiple curls kind of blended into one curl. It's generally an older style. It's also really common though for sailors, not done so elegantly, but with multiple other layers of curls underneath it. The piece back here is a plaited club. I braided some hair together and then I clubbed it in the back, which means taking the hair and folding it underneath, just a simple black silk bow to tie it all together. The owner of the shop and the most skilled person in it would be the master. The person below him also doing work, but did not own the shop, would be the journeyman. And the youngest people in the shop who were just starting to learn their trade were apprentices. Those people would be hired out by their families and would learn the trade, working their way up to the journeyman stage, and then eventually to master themselves perhaps. The most expensive wig you could possibly buy would be a human hair wig, but the second most expensive would be something made out of animal hair, perhaps yak or even horse. This example here made out of yak. The first step in styling a wig is to comb out the hair to get all the pieces evenly and straight. I can use a comb made of wood or perhaps even a comb made out of cow's horn, molded into the shape. The next step would be to apply a layer of pomade. I would take this animal fat substance, typically cow, lamb, or sheep, and apply it to the hair. This gives the structure needed. From there, I can apply just a little bit of powder on my fingers, pinching it and applying it to the hair, or perhaps using a board hair brush, taking the powder, putting it on, and then just flicking it onto the wig itself. Once I got the piece pomaded and starched, it's then now time to set the curl. I would take some curling irons, heat it up on a brazier, and to see if they're the right temperature, I would take a piece of cloth that's been dampened and apply it. Depending on how rapid the sizzling is or how much heat I can feel through the cloth, lets me know if the irons are too hot or perhaps too cold. I would then take the hair, wrap it around, and then twirl it up. The hair itself, pomaded and starched, kind of insulates my fingers from the heat. I would hold it there just for a few seconds then to set the curl itself. Taking it out now, most wig makers probably would have kept using the irons. However, there is evidence of using a wooden dowel to wrap the curl up. I'm getting it in line with the top curl or buckle, setting it at the height level and the width I would like, pulling out my dowel, and taking two U-shaped steel pins and attaching them. Now they're not like modern day pins that kind of have this grip, so I have to do a little bit of weaving and pinching itself into the hair to get it to stay. And the very last step after all the styling will be one final layer of powder. Powder itself is made out of starch and usually mixed in with some sort of ground up animal bone, sometimes fish. Applied to the hair sometimes with a boar's hair brush, just gently flicked on, and then I can brush any loose hair and powder to spread it out evenly into it. It not only gives it a matte finish, but it's sometimes scented, and it dries up the oils in the hair, preventing it from being too greasy. A wig like this will take much longer than the wig behind me per se, which only has two curls. Each of these curls has to be individually done. The longer it takes me to do the wig style, the more expensive the wig will get. Depending on the wearer's usage will depend on how much the wig will see service. If someone's wearing a wig every single day, it might be 2 to 3 days before I see the wig back in the shop. A more formal wig like this one, not being worn every day, might come in whether once a week or perhaps even once when the wearer decides to choose to wear it. Wig wearing was extremely common for men in the 18th century, but by the latter half, it was sort of dying out. Younger men were typically wearing their hair long and styling it themselves. However, older men and some younger men who preferred the fashion would still continue to wear wigs.